What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at A History of Violence, starring Viggo Mortensen, directed by David Cronenberg. A History of Violence tells the story of Tom Stahl, who is a small business owner in a small Indiana town, who on one fateful night is robbed by these two, who's being harassed and robbed by these two crooks. And so doing so in self-defense, he kills the both of them. And he kills the both of them with very, very good precision, almost as if he's done it before. Now, by killing these two men, he is lauded to the national spotlight, which many people consider him a hero. However, these mysterious men from Philadelphia come to Tom Stahl as they think he is someone who he is not. Alright, so that is the whole story of A History of Violence. Now, let's talk about it for a little bit. I love A History of Violence. I think this is one of the most overlooked, underrated, and to me, kind of forgotten about movies in the upper echelon of movies. You really do not hear a lot of people talk about A History of Violence, and that is a damn shame because this is a fantastic movie. I think Viggo Mortensen as Tom Stahl, he gives probably one of the best performances you'll ever see in a movie. How he's able to play this everyday man named Tom Stahl, and how he's able to play the alter ego of Joey Cusack, who is a former Irish mob hitman, is flawless. How he's able to juggle these two different personalities is absolutely fantastic, and he's not playing it as a split personality disorder. Tom Stahl is basically a witness protection program identity, and Tom Stahl is a different person as to who the Joey Cusack person was. And Viggo Mortensen plays those two roles perfectly. Not only that, his chemistry and relationships that he has in this movie, flawless. I love the on-screen chemistry he has with Maria Bello, who plays his wife Edie. At first, they're a very loving couple, and it plays off like that. And then as the movie progresses, and as Edie finds out more of the truth of Tom Stahl, that loving couple turns into a very hostile couple. And the friction is there, the hostility is there, and Edie, now growing to distrust her husband, is real. And Tom, trying desperately to keep his family together, is also there as well. And those exchanges and scenes are so tightly paced and so ridden with so much suspense. It's fantastic. I cannot praise it enough. I love the scenes with. I really enjoyed the scenes with Tom and his son Jack, and I like how Jack's little subplot story parallels Tom's story. You know, Jack is a high school student who's being harassed by these bullies until one day he gets fed up and he viciously beats them down. It parallels what Tom did to the two crooks. You know, it's paralleling A History of Violence pretty much, and it kind of raises the questions of nature versus nurture, in a way. I mean, yeah, the Stahl family is nurturing his kids to not, answer problems with violence, yet it was Tom's natural instinct to pretty much kill two men who were after him, just like it was his son's natural instinct to raise his fists and take down the bullies who were bothering him. Nature versus nurture. And I like how the movie doesn't throw that message in your face. It just shows you it. And then you got a follow-up scene, which is natural whenever a kid gets into a fight with a bully from home, of a father pretty much giving his son the third degree, and the son being like, well, great stuff. Love it. Really asks the question of nature versus nurture, and I think David Cronenberg did it in a very, very subtle, yet not in your face type of way. Cannot complain whatsoever. And I thought the actor who played Jack did a decent job in the role as well. He ain't the greatest actor in the world, but he played the role fine. Supporting cast includes Ed Harris, who plays Carl Fogarty. I love Ed Harris in this movie. In the scenes that he's in, he comes across as just so intimidating and just the most swarmiest type of guy you'll ever see. I mean, he has like a near dead eye. Since previous to the events of this movie, Joey and Fogarty, they have a little bit of relationship history with one another, which Joey nearly tried to take out Fogarty's eye with a piece of barbed wire. And it just so happens that Fogarty happens to be a made man. So and now Fogarty and his two goons, they're trying to take Joey back to Philadelphia. And I like it. I like how Ed Harris is just this constant presence in this movie. How it's almost as if he's like a shark. Like everywhere you think he's not going to be, he ends up being there, which leads to this very intense scene where he follows Edie and their daughters and her daughter Sarah to the mall, and he's pretty much stalking them. And this is where Fogarty tells Edie who Joey Cusack really, who Tom Stoll really is in this whole story and the history of Joey Cusack. It's a very, very intense, suspense-written scene that is so tension-filled. Cannot praise David Cronenberg enough for the tension filled in this movie. This movie is from start to finish is tension. This movie starts off with these two hitmen pretty much killing people in a motel. Tension. And these are the two hitmen that tried to kill Tom in the diner. These two hitmen are played by Stephen McHattie, and I don't remember who the other actor's name is. But they play their roles well. They serve their function. They are pretty much the catalyst that jumpstarts this whole movie, that jumpstarts this movie into action. And this is what leads to Fogarty hunting down Tom, since he's now labeled a national hero. His face is all over the news and the newspapers. This is how he was able. This is how Fogarty, or I should say Richie, played by William Hurt, was able to find Joey. Speaking of William Hurt plays the older brother Richie, and if I have any criticism with this movie, it's that it did not have enough of William Hurt. Like, I would have had more of Hurt's scenes peppered all throughout this movie instead of saving him like the last 20 minutes, which is when he finally makes an appearance, because the scenes with Hurt and Mortensen, they're great. They have really good on-screen chemistry with one another, and I was itching and dying for more scenes. And if anything, if this movie would have gone on for another 10, maybe 20 minutes, I would have not been disappointed, because I was loving the stuff between Hurt and Mortensen and wanted to know more of their history, because they really come across as brothers who have a rivalry against each other, particularly that of Richie. Maybe it's because Mortensen and Hurt, they're just so talented, and they're just very seasoned actors by this point. They can slip into roles naturally. And I just love the whole shootout at Richie's place anyway, where Tom takes down every single one of Richie's men and then shoots his own brother right in the head. And then he goes home. At first, it's very tension-fueled, and then he's finally, re-accepted into his family, as they accept him for who he is, pretty much. Even though he lied, he's still the man that they know he is. He is Tom Stoll, but he's Tom Stoll with the dark side. He's Tom Stoll with the dark past. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Can't praise it enough. From an acting and story standpoint, History of Violence is fantastic. From a production standpoint, even better. David Cronenberg, his visual style for this movie is so grounded and realistic and dark and gritty, and he keeps that constant tone all throughout this film. The cinematography in this movie is absolutely perfect. Flawless. Cannot complain. So yeah, those are my thoughts on A History of Violence. At the end of the day, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. The 9 is basically wanted more scenes with William Hurt. Other than that, this is a near-perfect movie. So yeah, those are my thoughts on A History of Violence. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like this video and subscribe, and I will check you back next time for more.